Welcome to the Ticket demo series. In today's session, we're going to focus in on Tikit's ability to natively integrate into Azure DevOps, leveraging our Power Automate connector. So a common request from our customers is the ability to present a single pane of glass to their end users, allowing for them to create not only incidents or service requests, but also if that customer supports internal business applications, for that end user to be able to create bugs and feature requests as well. But specifically within that request, what our customers want is the ability for the creation of that bug or feature request within Tikit to automatically create an associated work item in Azure DevOps, allowing for the development team to work on those respective work items all the way through release. And then once released, automatically closing the bug or feature requests inside of the ticket service desk, and then communicating something to the end user, allowing for them to know that their bug or feature request has been released. Now, we're able to do all of this with our native integration with Power Automate. So Tikit has a Power Automate connector, which allows for us to integrate with anything external of Tikit. And Azure DevOps also has a Power Automate connector, and the two of them can work in concert to make this bi-directional communication happen. In today's presentation, we're going to see all this work together. The first part is going to be highlighting how this feels from an end user side, from an agent side, from a developer side, working in Azure DevOps. And then we're going to double click into Power Automate and highlight how we set up the Power Automate connector to make this all work together. On the screen here, we see two personas. We see Adele here. She's my end user. She's going to be the one creating these bugs, creating these feature requests. And on the right-hand side here, we have Diego. He is my agent. He's going to be receiving these respective requests, but also going to be working on them through the ticket service desk, going to act as a developer, working on them in Azure DevOps, all the way through showing how we set this up in Power Automate. So Adele here is going to go over to Tikit Virtual Agent, and she's going to file both a bug and a feature request. I need file a bug. And Tikit Virtual Agent is going to search our knowledge engine, and it's going to present us the appropriate form to submit a bug or a feature request. So this one, I'm submitting a bug, and say for the marketing application. Now, when I submit this, ticket number 2911 will be created, and then we'll see that assigned to the DevOps team and over to the support group there for them to go work on. I'm also going to file this feature request, so we have both to work on while we're working through this demo. And this one is going to be a little bit of a different question to Tikit Virtual Agent, but it's actually going to be the same form. And effectively, what we're doing here is we're allowing for the end user to choose a type of issue. And then when that ticket's created, we're going to travel that through the system to create a bug or a feature request inside of Azure DevOps. We'll do the accounting one here. Need the button to do something special. Now, the other thing I want to highlight here is that these forms can ask anything you want. This is just an example of what's possible to get you thinking about the different options you have as you're working through these types of integrations. So ticket 2912 was just created, and we'll see that that was created and assigned over to the DevOps team and the support group there. Now, Diego, as an agent, has received those, and he could work on them in teams as they're being dropped into the channels where he can work on tickets. But he also can work on these tickets inside of the Ticket agent portal, and I want to show that as well. So we'll travel over to the Ticket agent portal, and I'm currently in my Azure DevOps view. And I'll go ahead and click refresh here to see those two tickets come in, 2911 and 2912. And it doesn't matter which one I click on, but I just want to highlight a few things. So the first thing is, when that ticket was created, we actually had Power Automate listening for the creation of that ticket, listening for the type of request that was being created, a bug or feature request, and within seconds, creating an associated work item in Azure DevOps for the bug and for the feature request. So you'll see here for this bug, Azure DevOps has created the ticket, and you'll also see here that Power Automate came back in here and added a private comment letting the developer know that the work item that's linked to this ticket is work item 38. Same thing happened for the feature request. If I go over to 2912, you'll see that this was shifted over as a feature request when we submitted this, and work item 39 has been now linked to this ticket to establish this bi-directional communication. Now, I could work on this this feature request or the bug inside of the ticket service desk if I wanted to. But I also can work on this inside of Azure DevOps. So let's go pop over there and take a look at that particular experience. So here's ticket 2911 and 2912. These are the two tickets that were just created. And the thing that I want to highlight here is that Azure DevOps Power Automate connector lets you listen for any adjustments on a work item and then provide triggers or actions to do anything back inside of the ticket service desk. What I want to do is I just want to listen, for this particular example, for when this actually has been released and these particular work items have closed. And when they've closed, I want to then resolve the associated ticket inside of the ticket service desk and then communicate something back to the end user. So when I close that work item, that Power Automate flow has been triggered and is going to go and resolve those respective work items. But before I get there, I want to highlight something else here. You notice that for the work items that have been created by ticket, you'll also see an external ticket ID. And these ticket IDs here, ticket 2912 and ticket 2911, these were automatically populated leveraging our Power Automate connector. And this is another way we're linking the two systems. So ticket knows about the associated work item Azure DevOps, and Azure DevOps knows about the associated ticket within ticket. Now, this is just an extended schema element that I've added to my work item types here for my bugs and my feature requests. This is one approach to do that, but I want to highlight that specifically because that is a very key component in linking the two there. Now, if I go back to the ticket service desk, what you'll see here is that ticket 2911 and 2912 have been automatically resolved. That all happened through that bidirectional communication through Power Automate. And I'm going to go ahead and select one of those. So I'll click 2911 here. We'll see that as resolved. But specifically what I want to highlight is that in that integration with that bidirectional communication through Power Automate, we also added a comment. That comment was, your bug has been released. And what happens here is that not only are we resolving the ticket, but we're communicating this particular message back to Adele automatically. Now, you don't have to do that, but the idea here is that you can communicate something automatically so that there's less touch on the ticket when something's released out of Azure DevOps. So if I go look at the feature request, ticket 2912, you'll see that same thing has been done here, where we're communicating your user story has been released. Now, the last part of this is that we want to see what the end user feels when this actually has been released. So we'll go back over to Adele's experience, and what's been happening in the background is that a ticket virtual agent, she's been receiving updates of communication. This ticket has been resolved. These tickets have been resolved. So ticket 2911 has been resolved, and we communicated her that the bug has been released. And then ticket 2912 also was resolved, and that the feature, which is called the user story in Azure DevOps, has been released. Now, what I want to do now is I want to actually show you how this was all set up inside of Power Automate. So we'll flip back over to Diego's perspective, and we will highlight how this is all working in Power Automate. The first thing I want to highlight is that I mentioned it right at the beginning of this demo, but Tikit has a native Power Automate connector with a slew of triggers and a slew of actions, and so does Azure DevOps. So this allows for us to very easily link the two and have this kind of bi-directional conversation between the two systems. Now, to get this particular demo to flow back and forth, I created two flows. This first flow here is creating the work item in Azure DevOps, and the second one is closing the ticket and ticket when the bug or feature request has been released. And we'll look at both here. So here is my first flow, which is creating that bug or feature request. And what you're going to see here is that what I'm doing is I'm using a ticket trigger to listen for the business process of a bug or feature request being created. And once created, I'm then evaluating whether or not it's a bug or a feature request. And once I get into one of these swim lanes here, they're effectively doing the same thing. And I'll just focus on the bug one for not any particular reason, just the first one in the swim lane here. And you'll see here that when it's a bug, I'm updating the ticket to be categorized as a bug. And then I'm going into Azure DevOps, and I'm actually creating that prospective bug. So this is my project. I'm saying it's a work item of a bug. I'm using variables from the ticket, so the application that was selected and the description to be the title of the work item. But specifically also what I want to highlight here, and this happens for both the bug and the feature request, is I'm updating that external ticket ID. That's really important because that is going to give me the ability to link the associated ticket and then allow for that bi-directional communication when things happen inside of Azure DevOps. And the last thing I want to highlight here is that I'm adding that comment so that the developers inside of ticket know what the work item number is. So I'm basically saying Azure DevOps work item number, and I'm grabbing the ID from the created work item and just posting it as a private comment in the ticket. So this is creating the bug or feature request inside of Azure DevOps. Let me go to that second flow. And this is what's actually closing the ticket and communicating something to the end user once released. So this is visually a little bit of a simpler flow, but just to highlight what's happening here. So I'm listening for when a work item is closed outside of my project, excuse me. And you'll see here that I'm looking for the closed state. When that happens, for that particular work item, I'm then grabbing the work item details. And this gives me all of the details of that Azure DevOps work item. But specifically, the one thing that I really care about in that particular details area is the external ticket ID. This is going to give me the ability to grab the associated ticket and then use that to add a comment to the ticket. So here you're seeing that I'm adding a comment. This variable actually is the type of request. So bug or a user story has been released. And then I'm updating the ticket to the status of resolve. I can change any of the properties here, but I'm choosing resolve intentionally to resolve that ticket and then communicate back to Adele that the feature or bug that you created has been released and this ticket has been resolved. Really hope you enjoyed today's presentation. And if you have any questions, please email team@tikit.ai.